the actuators in the hand, but with the new version that we're moving to later this year, the actuators are in the forearm, and really emulating how a human hand works. So, and there really are no motors, and there are no actuators. When I say actuator, an actuator would be like motor plus gearbox plus power electronics and sensors. There are no actuators that you can buy for really any amount of money that work well for a humanoid robot. So we have to go back to physics first principles and design all of the actuators from scratch. So it's a tremendous amount of work, and I think it'd be very difficult for any company that does not have, that's not extremely good at designing actuators to make an effective humanoid robot. And then it'll have the same like brain as the car. So initially hardware 4 and then hardware 5 in 26. And then just as the car is learning how to navigate reality, it's the same basic process for the humanoid robot. And I think basically everyone's going to want one. So it's like, who wouldn't want? There's no ways to think of robots, but like let's say R2D2 and C3PO were real, and you can have them. Like, who would not want R2D2 C3PO? That would be awesome.
Elon,
like a friendly body robot. I mean, I should say stay friendly, of course. That's very important.
Stay friendly.
But you know, I think it's kind of like people will get pretty attached to their humanoid robots, just like people, you know, you get attached to C3PO and R2D2. Yeah, I think everyone's going to pretty much want one. And I think long term, the cost of the humanoid robot should be less than the cost of a car because it weighs less. There's, you know, fewer parts in it. So ultimately, I think, you know, a humanoid robot that is super useful, I think long term is probably like $20,000 or $25,000. But it depends on what a dollar's worth in the future, you know, inflation and all. But you know, current year dollars, I think, you know, I can see reaching a price of $20,000-$25,000 for a humanoid robot that would be really useful. You know, that could like help you take care of kids, walk the dog, you know, go get groceries, like whatever works, you know. So I think everyone's gonna want one. So there's 8 billion people on Earth, and I think they're all gonna want one. So that's why I think it's probably gonna be the biggest thing ever.
Elon, what are you gonna use your robot for?
Well, I mean, initially we're starting like production unit 1 of production design 1 of Optimus, which we'll do some basic stuff in the Tesla factories next year because we want to iron out a lot of, you know, details. It's just to make sure it's useful. And for the first year or so, it's going to require quite a lot of babysitting from engineering. And then hopefully when we get to 2026, that'll be when we can sort of sell it outside of the company, because have be confident that it'll work reasonably well and respond to voice commands and that kind of thing. So, and then you'll be able to sort of, I think, customize how the robot looks as well, long term. Because, you know, you can kind of shell or skin the robot however you like. So I think there'll be wide variations in how the robot looks, how the robot looks, and you know, maybe like some third parties could do cool things, just like there's like cool third party wraps of the Cybertruck. Some really creative art, I think. So the Cybertruck's like, even though it ships as kind of like bare stainless steel, it ends up having some of the most interesting art in terms of how it's wrapped. And so it's really quite unique. And actually, I was talking to Pharrell. He's also very creative, and I think he has some ideas for, you know, doing a Pharrell version of an Optimus, for example, which would be pretty cool to have like different artists come up with different, versions of Optimus.
So, speaking of Cybertruck, I've had a Cybertruck since middle of February, and I'm so used to FSD, and you
really want the? I totally agree.
I don't know if I could get special access, but or more importantly for everybody, I'm just saying I've driven 10,000 miles, and it fills my soul to be driving the most advanced technology.
Sure.
And I feel like I'm driving. It's still the most amazing vehicle
Sure.
Tesla's ever made, but any updates on FSD with Cybertruck?
I think that should be coming out in August. So,
Technically 2 weeks.
Yeah, at some point in the next 2 to 4-ish weeks, I'm not sure the exact timing because we just have to test it and make sure it works well. But 12.5 is where a lot of things come together. Where you've got the high, we upgrade the highway stack to be the latest version. So it's you don't have the old highway stack and the new city stack yet. Having one sort of integrated state-of-the-art stack for highway and city is a big deal. Like little things like you can wear sunglasses and still do the hands-off driving, and then having it work on Cybertruck. A friend of mine drove a Cybertruck all the way halfway across the country, and he said it was driving him crazy that he could not turn on FSD.
We literally have people, I think, who drove from Florida to Toronto in their Cybertrucks. Well, not but just coming from all over the U.S. And I think that's literally the one thing. They were just like feeling peasant status, even though this is the best product that Tesla has made yet.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great product. It should be very soon.
Elon, what other future car projects are you most excited about? Is it the Roadster? Is it the Robotaxi? Can you speak about what you're most excited about?
Well, I think in terms of what will have the biggest impact in the world, it will be the kind of the Robotaxi, dedicated Robotaxi. Now, of course, all Tesla vehicles can operate it or will be able to operate as a Robotaxi. Pretty much all. So. I think the dedicated Robotaxi will have the single biggest effect in the world. The semi-truck, I think, will have a very, very big effect. The Roadster is one of those things that's not like necessary from a utility standpoint, but is super cool. I guess a friend of mine, Peter Thiel, is like, he would say, it's like, why don't we have flying cars? And I'm like, wait for it. Does it change the world? I don't know, but I think sometimes you just gotta have things that are just cool. Because it's just great to have awesome things in the world. So it's kind of cherry on the cake. I think the Roadster demo will be mind-blowing.
Oh yeah.
It might be the most mind-blowing demo of anything ever.
Wow.
When is that happening? I don't know if you can share that, but it's all good if you have to pass.
10,
I think next year.
Oh, next year.
Next year sometime.
2025.
And that's a joint sort of Tesla SpaceX effort. So it's kind of applying combining rocket engineering with Tesla EV engineering.
Alien technology.
To make something really special.
I heard it can fly a little.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be something special, and yeah, and we'll continue to make new products that we haven't talked about at all. So there's new things that'll come out. But the really ultra profound thing is full self-driving. Unsupervised full self-driving. That's like the gigantic thing. And then Optimus having an autonomous, useful humanoid robot is an even bigger thing than full self-driving. But those are the two things that, like, if you were to look back in history from, fast forward like 20, 30 years or 50 years even, like what are the things that really were profound? It'll be unsupervised, a general solution to unsupervised full self-driving, and a humanoid robot that is truly useful. Even 100 years from now, they'll be like, whoa, those are big ones.
Elon, we have a date on the calendar for the announcement and launch of the robotaxi. What can we expect from that?
Well, I can't give it away, you gotta have some, you don't want to give the show away before the show.
Sure you can. Come on.
So
Just a tease. Just a tease.
Tease, exactly.
I think it'll be cool. I think people will be pretty excited, and yeah.
That's
It's I do wonder, like, in the actual event itself, how many people will realize how profound it is what we're gonna show? I think some people will understand how profound, not everyone will, but it will be obvious in hindsight.
I know we've been going 45 minutes. I just want to do a quick time check. Do you want to keep going a little bit more, or because we're so grateful for it?
5 or 10 minutes more.
Okay. So, one thing I wanted to ask you is, so, we have, obviously the latest vehicle, the Model 3 Performance, or really the Model 3 Highland has been out, the Cybertruck came out. When you think of just, obviously, even the future of transportation, and obviously that's obviously where Franz comes in play with the design, but when you think of unsupervised FSD, has that changed the way you even approach tackling or building something? Like the future of transportation. And again, I know I don't have to throw the design aspect into it, but just when you think of what is next, how does the future of transportation impact that?
Well, if you're not driving, you're really effectively sitting in like a tiny lounge, and then having, say, being entertained with being able to watch movies or play video games or work, it just becomes like a tiny mobile lounge. Or you could sleep, whatever you want to do. You could drink too. You're not driving. So it's this thing where it's like a little mobile lounge. It's not something that you have to be. We have to be, focus your attention on driving all the time. So it's a completely different experience. One cool thing I should mention is that would be, I think, interesting down the road is also for Optimus. People that have lost their limbs. That if you take Neuralink, basically be able to control, which the Neuralink version 1 telepathy allows you to control electronic devices. If somebody's lost their arms or legs or whatever the case may be, then taking, say, an Optimus arm or leg and attaching that and combining that with a Neuralink would give them essentially cybernetic limbs. Kind of like Luke Skywalker so I think that could be pretty incredible for people that have lost limbs, being able to have like a cybernetic limb. I think that'd be a cool sort of combined effort between Neuralink and Tesla.
Elon, there was some recent news on X about some candy announcements or something like that.
No, I don't know what that is. I was just joking. So, yeah, I have too much on my plate to add candy to it, I think.
So fake news.
Yeah. Yeah. This is. I mean, it's wild how much is happening in the world. I mean, there's stuff happening with SpaceX and Tesla and all the advancements in AI. A lot of advancements in pharma as well. There's a lot of drugs coming along, and we're certainly headed for, I think, the most interesting future. I think we live in the most interesting of times. Sometimes it's like easy to sort of like, I don't know, get down about like some day-to-day event or political stuff or whatever, but in the grand scheme of things, we are living in the most interesting time in history. And that's pretty cool.
Just on that, it's so easy to, I honestly don't know how you do it on a minute by hourly basis on things that are just lies and things that are being said. But it's so important to have, a positive mindset, especially as those attacks are coming, because if you're just depressed about everything that's just coming at you, it's just so hard to move forward. And so it takes people like you to who are actually being a part of that change rather than just watching it from the sidelines. And so thank you for that. I'll maybe pass it to Kelvin for one last question. So we have a lot of retail investors here. As we know, it's actually, I just want to say how amazing X is, and how some of the stuff has even worked in the backgrounds. I remember meeting Amy Steffens, who was behind, obviously, who her team that she worked with to kind of like build a lawsuit, obviously, on the comp plan. I met her on an X Spaces, Twitter Spaces, and we got connected, and she ended up on our podcast, and next thing I know, she connects with Alexandra Mertz, Tesla former mama, and seeing all of the work that's happening behind the scenes with what Amy was doing and then what Alexandra was doing on the front facing. But the question I wanted to have is, when you think of retail investors and what it's meant to Tesla, what comes to mind, especially again, all the work that, the community has done, Alexandra, the Amy's of the world, the Tesla community, but what comes to mind when you think of retail investors for Tesla?
Well, I love retail investors, I have to say. Because I think retail investors, or individual investors, are like they're like making a decision to support the company, and that's super appreciated. I think we have the highest retail investor percentage of maybe any company, or maybe certainly one of the highest, and I think that's really a good thing. There's going to be sort of ups and downs in the stock price for random reasons, but I do feel confident that the long-term value of the company will be extremely high. I think the best analysis I've seen is like Kathy Wood's company, ARK Invest. They've been the most accurate in the past, and it's the value of the company is going to be kind of nutty with unsupervised full self-driving and with Optimus. I sort of wonder ultimately what money will even mean in the future, because if you've got robots that, if the cost of goods and services are driven to almost nothing, I think we will, assuming it's a positive future, which I think it probably will be, then we're headed for an age of abundance. So, I do feel like maybe that like Tesla's kind of in a phase right now, like similar to what Nvidia was in before Nvidia stock went bananas. And I have to say, like Nvidia deserves the valuation they've got. Jensen and his team have done an amazing job, but it really goes to show like the value of any kind of AI. A company that is strong in AI it's just going to be crazy, and it will dwarf the value of companies that do not have advanced AI. It really will be profoundly different. And it's a simple sort of productivity kind of back of the envelope math for cars is that, typical passenger car is about 10 hours of use a week. It's called like an hour and a half a day for 7 days, so it's about 10 hours. But if it's autonomous, it could be used 100 hours a week. Usage in autonomous mode might be 50 hours, but certainly it could be used 100 hours of 168 hours a week. So that would be a 10x increase in the productivity of the car. But it costs the same. So if you just do the basic math on that, it's like, okay, now you go from like, 25% margins to 90% margins. It's insane. Yeah. And then, for cars that are owned by customers, there would obviously revenue share with the customers, and so the owners of the cars, I think, I think would earn quite a bit more than the lease cost or financing cost of the car when it's in autonomous mode. But if you just think of asset utilization efficiency, and you go from 10 hours a week of a car to 50 or 100 hours a week, and it's the same car, it's the biggest explosion in value, maybe ever.
I have a quick follow-up, but again, let us know where we can do a time check. But you kind of were just talking about just content, and like one question I actually had, it was a follow-up kind of a little bit to what you were mentioning and some off topic, but do you foresee a rise in mechanisms to determine the authenticity of content and the validity of what is being said?
Interesting. Yeah.
Like, I think that's in this future, right? I mean, I see half the time I feel like I turn up YouTube and, they're taking an interview from you and then you're randomly mentioning Bitcoin and, or I've seen interviews of us, like people are messaging us from our interview back in May of 2022 and they're live streaming it like it's happening live. I'm like, wow, I looked different 2 years ago with longer hair. It's like, but it's you talking and you're randomly, the Bitcoin, reel is going on the bottom. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be promoting crypto. So if at most in a joking way, but if you see me pumping crypto, it's not me. I do think there's some merit in Bitcoin and maybe some of the other crypto, and I sort of have a soft spot for Dogecoin because I just like dodging memes. I don't know. On the X platform, there's pretty quickly things get community noted, or there's in the replies people say, "Hey, this is not real." So I think I don't know. We can work to try to have community notes surface faster, and also to if similar videos are popular, the community note gets added to any kind of similar video. But I think it's definitely always one should be cautious about seeing any. If you see a sales pitch for crypto, I would double check whether that is real.
All right, Elon. We want to wrap up with a final question for you, which is, what are you most excited about regarding Tesla and SpaceX?
Well, I think I've basically described it already, but the key for SpaceX is to achieve full and rapid reusability of the Starship rocket. This is really the holy grail of space technology. No one has ever made a fully reusable orbital rocket. So Starship is the first design that is even capable of that. This is an absolutely profound thing, because a fully reusable, rapidly reusable rocket is the difference between humanity being a single planet civilization and a multi-planet civilization. So that's gigantic, and I think we might get there next year. So that's a big deal. And then yeah, I mean, don't count the chickens until they're hatched, and these are tough chickens. But I think it's going to happen next year, and then a general solution to self-driving. That is also an incredible thing, and that's supervised full self-driving. That looks like if it doesn't happen later this year, it seems extremely likely to happen next year. If you just plug the curve of miles between interventions, that number is improving dramatically. So those are really the two whopper things. And then, as I mentioned for Tesla, also Optimus. The Optimus numbers are like they're like so mind blowing that you're like, is this real? But because I actually think the market for humanoid robots is in excess of 10 billion units of humans. Because people will each want one, and then there'll be others that are involved in industry and stuff. So, if they do sell at unit volume for $20,000, that's 20 trillion. So it's like, I mean, this is bananas numbers, I should say insane numbers.
So we should hold on to their stock.
Yeah, right. It's just really nuts. I should say $200 trillion. This is just an insane number. $20,000 times 10 billion. So 20 trillion, 200 trillion. It's a lot. It's like bananas numbers. So that's why I wonder what does money even mean at that point, So these things are, like I said, they're so profound that they will be recognized, assuming we do them, we have to actually do them. They will be recognized 100 years from now, maybe 1,000 years from now, as fundamental milestones in civilization. That's the level of significance we're talking about here.
I think we literally have a standing ovation happening right now. Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like I can now say Elon actually danced when you talked about a cat at the X Takeover. So, but yeah, thank you again, Elon, Kelvin and I, on behalf of our organization. Thank you for being at the X Takeover, for giving us literally about